finance, forex, and treasury, and he has been recently involved in I think 2 or 3 startups in fintech, and then he's currently CRO, Chief Revenue Officer of Finmo. Is AI-based treasury operating system. It's Thomas. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Actually, we have known each other for 24 years, actually.
24 years. Okay, sorry. Anything more than 20 years, I forget.
Yeah, so great. Good morning, everyone in Seoul. Welcome. Just quick introduction of myself, as Professor Char alluded to. So I started my career out of university with a mechanical engineering degree, and I joined U.S. Navy as a research engineer for 10 years. And after that, I pivoted my career to finance, and I've been in finance for the last 25 years. Majority is a so-called corporate treasury world. So I worked at corporate, I worked at investment bank, and I worked at venture capital. And so it led me to founding my own company here called Finmo, which is about 3 years ago. So I prepared a few slides to just go over, share with you this morning. Let me do that first. Let me know if you see the slides. You see the slides?
Yes.
Again, just thanks for having me here. And today, I'm going to explore, for me, it's a very exciting intersection between data science and finance. My title of today's topic is the AI revolution that is transforming the treasury management. I'll be sharing insights about how artificial intelligence is disrupting this traditionally very conservative field and the challenges that incumbents face in adapting to this new paradigm. And the unique advantage as a startup like ourselves having this space. And also look at a case study of my company, Finmo, a company that actually, in my opinion, exemplifies a practitioner-led approach to solving treasury management problems. So here is what we'll be covering today. First, we'll look at the scale of AI investment in financial services to understand the market context. Then we'll explore specific application of AI in treasury management. And next, we'll examine the technical challenges the incumbent players and providers face in implementing AI. And we'll discuss why, as I mentioned, startups with the combined data science expertise and domain knowledge is actually have a competitive advantage. And then finally, we'll look at the Finmo's approach as a practical case study. And of course, we'll have time for your question at the end. So let's start with some numbers that illustrate the scale of AI transformation happening in financial services. According to LI Market Research, as you can see, AI in financial services was valued at 13.7 billion in 2023 and is projected to grow and reach about 123 billion by 2032. That represents a compound annual growth rate of about 27%. Even more impressive is actually growth in generative AI, Gen AI and finance, which only started at 1.67 billion in 2003, is projected to grow at about 39% compound annual growth rate and through the 2030, according to the Grandview research. So these are just abstract figures you see here. We are seeing real world impact already. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Bloomberg, for example, has automated up to 80% of their financial analyst research tasks using AI. So these numbers reflect a paradigm shift. So financial institutions aren't just experimenting with AI, they're actually betting their future on it. And before diving deeper, I just want to make sure that let's make sure we are all on the same page about what treasury management actually is, right? So here I've written down that treasury management is the process of overseeing and managing companies' financial resources to support its strategic objective. It involved daily cash flow, liquidity management, risk management, and debt management, to name a few. In essence, the treasury function ensures company has enough money, funds it needs to operate, and meets its financial obligations, and optimizes financial performance. It is absolutely critical to a company's operation, yet traditionally has been highly manual and process intensive. That is why, look at, why treasury management is such a ripe for AI disruption for several reasons. Look at that. First, consider the volume and complexity. The average mid-market treasury processes over 1,000 transactions on a daily basis and manages about 5 to 20 banking relationships, right? And financial data are typically scattered across at least 7 disconnected systems. And in these, fragmentation leads to significant inefficiency. I noted here is a 67% of treasurers CFO report being that they spend more time collecting data from these systems than actually analyzing it. And so the major pain points include very labor-intensive forecasting. Treasury's teams spend often about 40 to 6 hours monthly in forecasting, and fragmented visibility across the banking platform. They don't have actual real-time visibility to how much money they have in their bank account. Suboptimal liquidity management, the result of that, and manual recon processes. And top of that, also very limited in risk management capability. These are all the areas of AI and data that can drive the tremendous value. So here, let's take a look at specific applications in AI in treasury management. So I kind of narrowed down to 3 here. First is in the area of real-time cash visibility and forecasting. So machine learning algorithm can actually automatically classify transactions and detect anomaly in cash position. So using supervised learning techniques, right? The time series forecasting model can achieve up to 85% accuracy in predicting future cash flow. And second one here, example for liquidity management. AI can optimize cash pooling structure, pulling money from all these monies, the balances that's sitting in various different bank accounts in various different countries, and using reinforcement learning for investment recommendations and dynamically allocating resources based on the predicted needs. And finally, the risk management side. We are seeing natural language processing for market sentiment analysis and machine learning for FX, foreign exchange exposure predictions, and a factor models for counterparty risk assessment using various alternative data sources. And then transformation of AI actually extend to payment operation as well. And so where we see end-to-end automation with the intelligent exception handling. For me, also fraud prevention is like through the behavior analysis is particularly powerful. With the machine learning detecting, reducing false positive by 60%, while identifying the actual suspicious pattern across the thousands of transactions. Even routine treasury tests are now digitized in innovative ways. A computer system can now read and process financial document automatically, computer visions. Natural language tools monitor legal agreements and compliance requirements. They actually extract proper legal agreements and legal terms and compliance requirements out of that. And modern matching system automates, again, reconciliation recon with a 90% accuracy, compared to only 67% in using a traditional approach, rule-based approach. So these are the examples of how artificial intelligence is being applied throughout the treasury operation to save time and improve accuracy. So despite all these promising advancement of AI, current incumbent, the legacy treasury management software providers face substantial technical challenges is actually delivering the solutions. Main reason is legacy providers typically operate in a monolithic architecture, like a built for like all-in-one solution rather than a modular components. Therefore, The structure makes updating individual features extraordinarily complex. So when you update on one feature in one particular area, it requires extensive regression testing to make sure across the whole platform, make sure there's no bugs and make sure everything's working seamlessly, right? Their information is often stored in a separate system, so they don't communicate well. And some of you may experience it, but years of quick fixes, like you got a lot of patchworks they do, and they slow down the innovation. And in practical terms, this means like data just simply is not organized in a way that supports modern AI. Like their features are very difficult to update independently, and there's struggle with the standardizing information that is needed for AI insights and tools that are being used today. It's not just technical issues actually these guys facing, like they also face business issues. Many are trying to shift from one-time license sales to subscription model, which affects how they recognize revenue and can create temporary financial strain. What it means is actually, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the accounting aspects, but when it comes to license sales, if you do a license sales and for $1 million, you get to recognize that revenue right there and then. So you recognize very upfront of that 1 million of a license revenue that you just booked. But when it comes to subscription model, you only can recognize only that monthly of that revenue. So instead of recognizing 1 million, you'll be recognizing hundreds or 1,000s of revenue. So there will be a significant impact in a financial. So they have a very difficult time moving to that model. And then their updates are very slow. Because then again, that is exact opposite of how the pace in the AI is happening in this part of the world, Silicon Valley. I know Professor Chuck comes here, it feels like every 2 weeks into Silicon Valley. But what we experience, he and I would often talk about it, is that what we experienced 3 months ago in AIs and what is vastly different than what we see today. So the change, the pace, the velocity of AI advancement is just absolutely crazy here. So the typical and then the traditional legacy providers cannot just keep up with this pace, right? And then also their interfaces are very complex and designed for specialists rather than for day-to-day operators. And they're not just being user-friendly at all. And now lastly, they struggle to serve mid-sized markets. And their system is built very large multinational organizations. And they have a hard time coming down to serve up-and-coming mid-sized companies. And then another main reason is that because they are connected with global banks. And so they have to balance between the maintaining a banking relationship with this global bank and the speed that banks are changing, and with the balance that with the innovation that needs to acquire to actually provide a better solution. So these are the challenges that legacy solutions are facing and are difficult to adapt. And then in the foreseeable future, they're all going to struggle. That is why I believe startups have a significant advantage, right? So most of the startups we can see today, we built an API first modern microservice container flexible system from scratch, using the latest technology, right? Our infrastructure can get easily scaled in cloud, and they can incorporate the latest, cutting edge AI tools. From day one, like we startups, we design our system to learn continuously and then provide financial insight by applying all different knowledge from related fields. Like this kind of flexibility allows us and startups to innovate quickly and adapt to changing market needs, unlike the legacy players. So we have a significant advantage over legacy players and the incumbents. But here I want to emphasize further, actually, however, technical advantage alone is just not enough. You must have domain expertise. The combination of a domain expertise with the data science capability creates a powerful synergy, right? So domain knowledge provides multiple advantages. Like I've been in the industry for now in treasury for 25 years, as I mentioned earlier, right? So we understand treasury workflows, and which leads to better product future design. We design a product better because we actually lived that work for 25 years. And we have much of deeper knowledge of regulations to make sure corporations can ensure the compliance to the latest regulations. And we know all the KPIs that Treasury people manage and measure. And so that we can design our AI and the goals for the AI and around the KPIs that people are looking at, right? Then we also, obviously, we are much more familiar with the Treasury data that, again, allows AIs to prepare the information properly. Actually, the results are pretty measurable. The studies show that teams with Treasury expertise or domain expertise creates AI model that performs about 40% better. That's pretty significant. And brings solutions to the market 60% faster than purely technical teams and achieve a 3 to 4 times higher in terms of user adoption rate. So critical thing is technical advantage, great, but it must be combined with the domain expertise to go deeper and actually provide true value. So, let's look at our example, like Finmo is a case study for this approach, right? We at Finmo, kind of live this combined approach, founded by Treasury professionals. So our founding team is having combined experience of more than 90 years experience, 90 years experience in the Treasury, right? And so we built a solution with a modern data science at its core. And our implementation includes purpose-built system connecting all financial operations and kind of unified approach to organizing data and an easy integration capability. And we are seeing this result. These are also still, as of today, very internally, but 90% less time spent on cash forecasting, and also 95% of automation of recon. Right? So I think we are continuing to, improve, and especially AI-driven forecasting tools. So this is actually our module. So Finmo Solutions, the integrated module. We built our new treasury operating system from ground up, prioritizing our 4 independent modules here: money movement, cash management, FX risk management, and unified integrations, right? Again, what sets Finmo apart is a purpose-built architecture from the very beginning, connects all the elements of a financial operation, from the customer onboarding to real-time payment, to processing expenses, cash flow forecasting, FX risk management, all in one integrated solution. So this integration eliminates any efficiency of a multiple system, but while providing deeper insight than standalone tools, right? So leveraging money movement as a data foundation, and Finmo developed deeply interrelated product solutions that kind of seamlessly interoperable to perform the mission-critical treasury functions. So let's kind of, share a little bit about, dive deeper into specific data science techniques that we are using internally. So I mentioned that briefly, I think, previous slide. Supervised learning helps us to classify transaction, predict cash flows, and identify payment patterns. And unsupervised learning detects unusual activities that might indicate fraud, group spendings, or simplify financial data into the visualization aspects of it. And then finally, reinforcement learning allows to optimize our how cash is managed, our excess liquidity, and create a smarter payment routing processes, and develop an investment strategy that adapt to changing market conditions, like especially in the volatile market that we're experiencing in the past couple of months. And also, when we implementing these solutions, these are the factors that is very critical for us. Data pipeline architecture must support both real-time streaming for transaction monitoring. At the same time, we need to build batch processing for our historical analysis. Ideally, in a unified structure for the complete visibility, but that's how the data pipe architecture is we're considering, and how we, for deploying AI models. Again, we talked about it in the beginning. Our approach includes independent microservice that can be updated separately, comparison A/B testing for improvement, system that can monitor model performance. And while we're going through this, I think key challenges that we face, including, everybody should be pretty straightforward: data quality, providing transparency in financial decisions and maintaining regulatory compliance with the proper records, and balancing performance with the explainability, understandability of our, our tool. So to summarize the key points, I think I went through very quickly. Because I think it's straightforward enough. I think I was able to go through that. And so AI in financial services represents a massive, massive opportunity. We're talking about upward of $120 billion opportunity by 2032, right? Treasury management is particularly ripe for AI and machine learning disruption because it's been traditionally conservative and very highly manual process and process driven in area. So that is particularly ripe for that. And then current players, incumbent players, are facing significant technical and business challenges adapting new paradigms. Infrastructure is not set up for that. And therefore, startups like ourselves are actually come with the domain knowledge and data science expertise at a competitive advantage. That's why we decided to go after this particular field. And then because, again, modern architecture allow us to enable a lot of AI and native solution that was not previously possible. So we're demonstrating the power of what it means to actually combining domain expertise and an AI first native approach is going to be how we want to innovate in this particular space. Okay, I have the final slide here. So for those interested, I'll share this slides with you if you guys want. Some of the academic papers like machine learning applications in corporate treasury from MIT's FinTech conference. There's a paper on reinforcement learning for optimal cash management in the Journal of Finance, Data Science. We'll give you a bit of a deeper academic perspective. And there's an industry report from Allied Market Research, Grandview Research, or Gartner offers kind of a market insights and trends. And practical implementation tools like what I've been quoting is a TensorFlow, PyTorch, and the Finmo's our own API documentation will provide examples of how modern treasury architecture and implementation approaches. Okay, that's all I have prepared actually. Thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have from this point.
Okay, thank you very much. Quick introduction and a quick coverage of this AI in the financial service. And please feel free to ask questions. Questions can be in Korean. Thomas Kang understands Korean. He has been in Korea for many years.
Let me start a question. So most of it. So what are your potential customer? Did you build this is integrate to the? Did you sell your software together with the AI, or you could sell it to the customer that has application already?
So let me answer that question in I think twofold. So I briefly mentioned in my presentation. So our target market is actually small to medium enterprises that has a same amount of complexity, but they're not at the enterprise level because the enterprise already using they already been implemented traditional systems such as Oracle, SAP, and Kyriba. So they're unlikely, I think, adopt their other new solutions. And these are modular examples that I think AI is part of the embedded. So oftentimes we talk about AI for this particular audience here, but all the tools and moving money, detecting fraud, automating the proper, most optimal way to pay, most cost-effective way to pay. And then all that is actually embedded as part of our tool. So we have 4 tools that we provide in modularly. So money movement. So that module allows our customer to collect money from their customers and then also able to pay their vendors, the employees. So anything that moving money, that module itself will provide that. And then a separate module is a cash management that allows to actually have real-time visibility to all your bank accounts globally. So that when you open up our dashboard, even if you have 20 different bank accounts in 20 different countries, you will know exactly your cash balance is in a real-time basis. And that allows you to actually optimize your working capital. And the third module is FX. Then if you operate in 20 different countries, you're always going to have cross-border FX risk. Any movement of currency is a risk, and then we try to provide them. We provide a module that allows to manage that risk. But AI is in the means underneath it actually allows for our customers, small to medium corporations, to take a look at when to the right time or optimal time for them to hedge. What is the optimal way to managing their working capital? What is the optimal way to manage their excess liquidity? Did that answer that question?
And not really. So I
Okay.
think it just how difficult. So actually, I actually was with SAP. Actually, I built an AI capability for SAP
Yeah.
cash management. So I think just how easy for. So when you build a solution, let's say if you build a cash management with
Yeah.
AI together, integrated, that's great. But I think a lot of company may have application already, right? So how you select, build your solution AI integrated, or you try to sell the AI capability to a company already has application.
No, we're trying to sell it again because the target market is SMEs. We try to sell a solution that's already integrated as a part of our solution, not a separate tool. So I think you're creating AI for SAP. So when you did that in SAP, their target market is global multinational companies like Microsoft of this world, right? So they themselves could have their own independent AI tools, but I'm not targeting that type of a market segment.
Besides, this big software, I mean, SAP or Oracle, I mean, these are so complex, and it's not easy for the small companies to utilize all of these functionalities. But this one, Finmo, as far as I understand, it's very simple to use and easy to use. And they are expecting to have a natural language front end in the future.
Yeah. Right. So also, as I said, as a founding team, as a combined experience of 90 years into Treasury, so we also work with the treasurer and CFOs quite often. And so we also know they want a lot of things, but they also need very mission critical few items. So our focus is actually building around that mission critical aspects of it, what they need versus what they want. That we're not interested in building all the bells and whistles of SAP and Oracle, Kyriba. We're more interested in building it for a very mission critical element, and that it needs the day-to-day running a company.
There's a student raising hands. Go ahead. Yeah.
예, 저는 한국말로 질문드리겠습니다. 그 경영하는 입장에서는
소리 좀, 보이스 좀 크게. 예.
네. 들리시나요? 안 들리나요?
들려요.
네. 그 경영하는 입장에서는 그 설사 데이터가 잘 맞는 것처럼 보인다고 하더라도 그 로직에, 레셔널에 대해서 이해를 할 수가 없으면은 선뜻 그 채택하기가 어려울 것 같아요. 그러면 요새 얘기가 많이 나오는 그 AI에 대한 explanation, 그런 부분은 어떻게 제공을 하시나요?
Okay. How do I do that? So right now, what we're doing right now with the few selected merchants is actually, for us is we've been testing using our own set of data so we've been around, 저희 회사가 지금 3년째밖에 안 됐어요. 그래서 지금까지 all the AI testing and modeling is based on the last 3-year testing. And so it's, in my opinion, it's not too comprehensive. So few selected customer, 저희가 서비스하는 customer들은요, 저희가 그분들의 데이터를 지금 using that as a model to actually build a model for them. So we're in a stage of building a model independently for them. So in terms of, I think, try to explainable model for each individual, we're not that stage yet. Like, does that answer your question? I'm just being very fully transparent.
Too transparent.
Yeah, fully transparent. I'm not.
But I just want to share. Maybe you can share the information about your funding, your recent funding, and you got the funding from the PayPal and Citi, and what's it, the other one?
Kona. So I think the venture capital market, I think in terms of so-called CFO suites, I think people are starting to wake up to see that they're looking for more integrated solution because the ROI in buying expense management module, account receivable module, and FX module separately, and from the buyer's perspective, persona, it's in the past before the AI and then this new tools that are available, and VCs would love to just go deep. Like they want you to go one domain deep. But I think for us, I think industry now, VC and the landscape has changed. We believe in a compound product that we're building. It's more of an integrated solution. So we wanted to make sure people, we wanted to get investment from the investor who actually understood and understands and actually be with us for a long run in terms of building this together. So we're very selective. So we're actually raising 12 million, but we're fortunate to oversubscribe. We raised about 18.5 million, but led by Kona, the 100% fintech investor, venture capital, a global name, and then PayPal, who's in my opinion, I think global innovator in terms of a corporate and fintech, and the Citibank. They're number one bank in so-called transaction banking globally. So we wanted the three names that we understood exactly the gap that we're building, and then they see the value, and then they're we're just so happy they're part of our cap table. So another thing I want to toot my horn a little bit is actually we raised our first C round back in July of 2023. So actually less than 16 months later, we raised A. And so I think in terms of then as a company, we broke even second half of last year. And so we actually ended a fiscal year of 2024 profitable. So there's not many fintech startup you can claim that actually company is profitable. So we're able to do that last year.
Any other questions? Maybe you can explain how you started. To some of the student interest. I mean, we emphasize the importance of the domain knowledge, but you can explain how you start a company and how you so far the company is quite successful. And I believe it's a company will be successful. Yeah.
Thank you. So actually, what happened was because of my previous job, I was with the Citibank. So he allowed me to go to Korea. So I worked in Korea for about 7 years, from 2007 to 2014, and then I was relocated to Singapore from 2014 to 2021. So I spent 14 years in Asia. And I also mentioned to you very early that I started my career in finance in corporate treasury 25 years ago. With that company is actually Hewlett Packard, now known as HP, in year 2000. So and then I went to investment banking and all that. But after spending 14 years in Asia, I came back home in 2021. So I repatriated back home 2021, and I was simply catching up with all my friends and my colleagues, my former colleagues in corporate treasury, and we're just simply catching up. And then we're just discussing, but the exact same problem that I faced 20 years ago, we're still exist, and they're still using the same Excel, same manual processes. And more and more I talk to my former colleagues, and more convinced they're so underinvest the internal software stack and for the CFOs and treasurer. I thought there's definitely a market opportunity. So I kind of dug deeper and deeper to see what can I do, and decided, okay, this best time for me is to combine last 20 years of my corporate treasury and treasury from banking side and from the corporate side as a combination, let me tackle this problem and go deeper. This is where I feel like I have a competitive advantage. Again, I mentioned to you, we have a technical understand, but I have the domain knowledge and understand the language of treasurer and CFO. And that's why we decided to build this company. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So I think the what I want to emphasize is we educate data science, but the domain knowledge, domain expertise is probably the most important the ingredient for startups. If you don't have domain knowledge, it's hard to succeed. And the AI tools are now become commoditized. What I mean commoditized, they are available on the cloud. So you can easily learn those tools, but it's hard to learn domain knowledge in a short time.
I mean, also, like you and I talked about it, right? So I think the horizontal layers, I think, is already commoditized, and we kind of see the winners in that horizontal market in terms of AI, right? So now it's time to go vertically deep, and I think you need to find out which domain that you want to go deep. And I find myself in the domain of finance, and then further into it, within a finance, I decided to go after treasury, right? But I think each individual, I need to find out what that domain is. We see very successful from legal industry now, and we're starting to see these verticals coming in. But to me, like next opportunity, I think next blue ocean has to be going deep, vertically than horizontally.
Mhm. Yeah, any other questions? The student, please raise hands and ask questions. You can ask anything about the startups. He has lots of experience.
한국말 하셔도 돼요.
Okay. Maybe I should ask questions. So what is the most difficult thing you encountered after you founded company?
Oh, so many challenges when it comes to starting a company. But when you start a company, I think one of the critical things I think people often overlook, they're actually having a very strong founding team that they can actually work together, that actually complementary. I've seen many of the startups start. They both have a very technical skill set, but yet they don't have the synergy, they don't have overlapping or complementary skill set, and they don't gel well. Versus I see a founding team that each individual brings different sets of skills that are perfectly complementary, and they support each other. I think is a key to do that. I think team is obviously in the beginning, it's going to be critical. What else for me, looking back? I mean, for me, again, the professor, so basically, students here, I want to let you, 24 years ago, he's the one that put the seed of a startup in my heart. So it never went away. So it was always, I was at the time working for Hewlett Packard HP in Agilent, and he came in during his sabbatical years. We did this business together, and he planted that seed in my heart to the startup. So it never left. So I always wanted to start up, and it's value is the creativity, doing on your own. Failure is very acceptable. In fact, it is very lauded here. It's very acceptable, very encouraged in Silicon Valley. I know it's a different culture in Korea, but the failure is something that is very embraced, encouraged. So when I see people in the beginning building a team, looking for team, coworkers that actually have experience in fail and how they responded is more important than actually fail itself. Yeah, and then you gotta love what you gotta do.
Mhm.
So, I just I go to right now because I'm building this company. I travel to Singapore, which is a company's today headquarters in Singapore. So I travel to Singapore every 6 weeks. In fact, I'm leaving this Saturday to Bangkok and through Singapore. So I'm constantly on the road, and I work from 5 p.m. because I'm based out of San Francisco Bay Area. If some of you guys know this area, I live in a city called Sunnyvale. So my work hours from 5 p.m. local time till 1 a.m. every day, right? So, so you gotta have, you gotta enjoy what you're doing, and otherwise, this hours is just not for everyone. And I'm not that young. I don't know some of you guys know, but I'm not that
You're
young.
still young.
Right.
And you have a team also in India.
Okay, so I have about I have as a FINMO, as of today, we have 90 people in all together. We have a 90 strong family, and about 70 people sitting in Bangalore as our development center. Our engineering center is right now in Bangalore. So I travel to Bangalore and once a quarter too.
Okay, go ahead, 구한빈.
저는 좀 간단한 질문인데 일단 컴퓨터공학부 최적화 연구실에서 타임 시리즈 포리캐스팅을 이제 금융 분야에 적용하는 것을 좀 연구하고 있는데
네.
이제 아까 타임 시리즈 포리캐스팅에 대해서 그 말씀해 주셔서 어떤 ML 어프로치를 사용하고 있는지 좀 궁금했습니다.
그건 제가 테크니컬 디테일은 제가 정확히는 모르는데 그거에 대해서 제가 이제 AI 팀한테 해서 바로 말씀드릴게요. 나중에 구해서. 구한빈 씨는 제가 이름 해가지고 교수님한테 정확히 어떤 기술을 쓰고 있는지에 대해서 말씀드릴게요.
네, 감사합니다.
So I think the what I want to add is all these the enterprise software is quite old. So maybe you can these things the existing software is too rigid to evolve. It's hard to change. Once you have software running in it's hard to change. Maybe you can add more comment on this.
Yeah, not only hard to change. So a lot of this enterprise software that built by SAP, Oracle, and Kyriba is actually very US centric. So what I experienced, 이제 제가 경험하는 건 when you go to Asia, so all these Asian companies, they want to use Oracle, SAP, and so they implement that, but they need to customize for their own local needs, right? So there's a localization that takes place. Once you localize that software, they're not qualified for the upgrades. Every time there's updates, they're not qualified. So they buy very expensive software and a legacy software, and then they don't get the benefit of upgrades they're getting seen down the road. So they stuck with it. So terminology many of our customers are using, to me, is that they call that SAP, Oracle, and Kyriba is a glorified database. So they have a database there, but all their work is done by downloading all that information to Excel sheet, and they just run Excel. Despite you pay millions and millions of dollars for the software, but it's not flexible enough. So they still use Excel to do that, because again, there's no, once you customize the program and the software, they don't get updates, and it's just very slow. And it's also very much backward looking. That it's in a data set is not inducive to apply new tools that we see in terms of AI. So again, if you're like Microsoft, large corporations and Apple, you can deploy your own resources, and then they have like 20 people treasury team, and then there's treasury tech team that supports that. But typical SMEs, we're talking about a maximum of 2 people running your treasury.
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, this space, I mean, not only the financial, but application, but, this, the enterprise applications, it's time to change, it's time to reinvent enterprise applications,
I know.
especially with the AI, all these enterprise applications are hard-coded. So, no one can change. Even people in that company cannot change because, people are gone already. And so, with the AI, with the data-driven approach, we can create a new architecture. We can implement, a very flexible software stack. So there's a great opportunity. So that's why actually I want to invite Thomas Kang here and to share his experience. Yeah.
And another experience, like not my field, but adjacent field that we're seeing that evolving is actually the HR, the human
Mhm.
resource and payroll. But
Mhm.
right now, typically, when I do a startup, I used to start in Silicon Valley, then I test the regionally within the United States, and I go nationally. But now any startup from Silicon Valley or Singapore or Seoul, by day one, they actually source their talent globally, and they actually customers globally. So I call it default global company. So most of the startup nowadays, from day one, they're global, right? So that means that their HR needs, they're getting programmers from Bangalore, from Bangladesh, and then they're paying customers in the United States and Australia, and you operate out of Korea. And then there's a complexity of all these legal issues with the employment, HR, and then access to your computer information center.
Mhm.
So all that right now has to be different way of written than the traditional way of managing your HR data. So that's, I think, up and coming. It's evolving. There's a lot of mega unicorns that are coming from that particular field. Companies
Mhm.
such as Rippling, Deal, I think they're to name few.
Mhm. Okay, I think we are mostly done, and I'd like to thank your time,
Thank
despite
you for
your
having
busy
me.
schedule.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Again, I will share that slides with you, Professor, and I'm more than happy to
Uh-huh.
share that with others. And especially Hanbin, I'll come back to you in terms of exactly which model that we're using in terms of our
Mhm.
machine learning aspects of it.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you,
just
guys.
call you. Yeah, thank you. I'll call you in a minute. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.